We got to learn to ignore insults. So instead of feeding into a negative comment that someone said about you, because realize if you feed into that thing, it's just going to build you up more and more. It's going to put fire on top of fire, and it's going to, the situation is just going to escalate more and more. So instead, just ignore and learn to just ignore that insult that that person said about you. You see, for us believers, and me, I experienced this in the past. I experienced in some situations where a person called me a particular name. They may have said something that really wasn't cool, and in my fleshly state, I wanted to lash back at them. I wanted to, physically go to that level and bring it to that level to them. But the more and more I grow in the Lord, the more and more He teaches me, and He develops my character, especially in these situations. And you know what's going to happen when you learn to ignore an insult? It's going to make you become the stronger person. It's going to make you become the more wiser person. You got to look at it. You got a wise man on this side. You got a foolish man on this side. The foolish man, when a person says something to him, or a negative insult, he's going to lash back out at that person. He's going to want to fight and physically maybe punch that person because this person says something about him. But the wise man, on the other hand, he's going to trying to figure out a way. Maybe he'll come to a level of some kind of counseling to this person and ask him, hey, why are you being mean to me? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you calling me this name? Why are you saying things behind my back and stating false rumors about me? And simply he may ignore that person. And when the right time comes, maybe these two people will come together and come to a final conclusion how to end this situation, how to dissolve this situation. And that's what we need to do more and more in this society. Come to a level to bring peace. Blessed are the peacemakers. That's the generation that I'm looking for. I'm looking for more peacemakers. There's I just love making peace between people. That's one thing I don't like is people fighting and people throwing bowls and elbows at each other. It's just all it does is bring strife. It brings violence in some cases. It brings all kind of envies and jealousy, all kind of things, and it just makes the fire more and more bigger. So, and I'm the type of person, I love to stop drama before it even starts. That's another thing I can't stand is just drama, period. That's one thing I can't. I don't stand. I can't stand drama. I hate it with a bit of passion. I dislike it so much. Well, back to the message. We gotta really learn to ignore insults. So if you're facing a person that has like a bully kind of mentality, or a person that's very being sarcastically nasty towards you and saying all kind of mean things at you, simply learn to ignore that person. Alright, let me say it like this. Pretend that person isn't even there. You gotta put like a radar upon you and just keep moving. You see, because there's always going to be those haters. There's always going to be people that's jealous and envy of you because they lack something. That you have something that they want, but they get mad because they can't have that. You have a certain gift that they don't have, so it's their job to throw some kind of stone at you, to throw some kind of dart at you. But at the same time, especially us being children of God, it's our job to don't feed into them, to simply walk away, to ignore that person, to ignore insults. And it's also stated in the book of Proverbs, you'll become wise if you learn to ignore an insult. And I'm going to post that particular verse pertaining to this message right here. So this is the message for today. Learn to ignore an insult. And once again, you'll find yourself becoming more of a wiser person because you've learned to ignore an insult. It took me years to develop this positive habit right there. It took me so many years. If I was like I was growing up, I would want to fight a person for saying an insult at me. I would want to cuss that person out. But because now that I'm saved, now that I have my Father Jesus Christ, He is my living testimony that I am able to ignore an insult and just keep moving on with my life. Because I realize there's a lot of negative people out there. We live in a cold world and also in a cold society. It's almost like this whole world, we're throwing in a tank of sharks, if you will. There's a lot of sharks out there that's ready to bite. They're waiting to bite someone. There's a lot of roaring lions walking out there that the enemy is trying to use right now, and he's seeking whom he's going to devour. That's why we got to be equipped in these last days. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the children of our Father right now. We got to be equipped in these last days. We got to be very discernful in these last days. We got to be aware of the enemy, because even the enemy knows our certain weak spots. He watches us every day. He watches our moves. He sees what kind of people we get along with, and he sees what kind of people we don't get along with. And the people that we don't get along with, he will use those same people to try to attack us and to try to throw insults at us. And he'll try to make us look like the weaker. He'll try to make us look like the weaker person. But my friend, I'm here to tell you right now, don't fall into that trap. Don't fall into the trap of the enemy. I want you to learn to ignore an insult, because I'm telling you, from personal experience for me, you'll become a wiser person if you learn to ignore an insult. So if you're going through something at home, if you're going through something at school, if you're going through something on your everyday life, if you're dealing with a type of person that's very insultive, very critical, very, full of criticism, and a judgmental person, just ignore that person. Don't let that person affect you. Instead, you keep moving forward with your life, and realize that person is the way he or she is. It's just because some people love to be that way. There's not a day that goes by where their day is not. They're not going to have a good day unless they pick on someone. They're not going to have a good day unless they throw an insult at someone. So that's just the way they are. And realize, if you're children of God, and if you try to pray for this person, realize it's really up to God and how He wants to handle this situation. So the best advice I can give you is leave it in the hands of God. In most cases, that person is not going to want to change, because a very negative person, especially a person that's being used by Satan, they're not going to want to change. They're going to continue to go in their ways. They're going to continue to willfully sin. And on our hand, we got to realize that they're not going to change unless they want to change. It's got to be up to them. It can't be up to us. I can't make a person change. You can't make a person change. The next man can't make a person change. That person has to want to change themselves. So it's them that has to change. And realize, don't beat yourself over the head just because that person isn't changing on your behalf. So remember, leave it in the hands of God. And it's up to our Father to deal with that particular person, because He is the rightful judge, and it's He that sits upon the throne. So I just wanted to mention that to you today. You guys learn to ignore insult, and you'll become a wiser person. And also you'll find peace, more and more peace, and more abundantly. And realize great shall be your reward just by you ignoring an insult. And God will eventually take care of that person. He will eventually put His wrath upon that person. He'll eventually do something to stop that situation. And in some cases, He may even use you to minister to that same person that's throwing an insult at you. But first, be directed and guided by the Holy Spirit, so He can show you how to cope with these type of people. And He'll eventually show you how to ignore insults. So I'm going to go off and continue on with my life. I just wanted to drop that on you guys. And you guys take care. You remain strong, and salute. I love you all, guys. You be strong. Brother Rob, take care.